Welcome back to Views with Hughes, Agenda for News. This is Jerome Hughes. Now let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, Kathleen Kennedy. We're going to dive deeper into Kathleen Kennedy about what's on everyone's mind with the Acolyte approved by Kathleen Kennedy and how Kathleen Kennedy and her disastrous leadership at Lucasfilm have led to this monumental failure. Now, if you're dismayed by the way Kathleen Kennedy and her way of mishandling the Star Wars franchise, I'm right there with you, and this discussion is for you. So be sure to buckle up as we explore why the Acolyte approved by Kathleen Kennedy is an emblematic problem for Kathleen Kennedy and her failures, and what it's going to mean for the future of Star Wars under Kathleen Kennedy and her stewardship as far as Disney Plus is concerned. Okay, now first off, let's address the elephant in the room, the Acolyte, which was approved by Kathleen Kennedy. That's been, an unmitigated disaster, and this is a direct reflection of Kathleen Kennedy as well as her failure to go ahead and lead effectively. Now, despite all the mainstream media spin and the desperate attempts of some of the different Disney Star Wars shell fans to salvage its reputation, the truth is actually clear and unmistakable. The Acolyte, the show itself, which was approved by Kathleen Kennedy, stands as a colossal failure in the Disney Star Wars lineup, and Kathleen Kennedy herself and her name are at the heart of this debacle. Now, it also holds the huge honor of being, the least viewed Disney Star Wars show ever on Disney Plus, and a significant blow to the franchise that once thrived on its expansive, universe and beloved characters. Okay. Now, if you enjoy what I share in this video, go ahead, smash like button, share, follow across social media. Okay. Now, we're going to dive into the metrics of Kathleen Kennedy and her failure. You see, this show, which was approved by Kathleen Kennedy, struggled to attract viewers, as you all know, and it's also affecting Star Wars on Disney Plus in the long run. And the views are nothing short of catastrophic, where critics and fans were basically brutally honest about their shortcomings. And this is a great reflection of Kathleen Kennedy, as well as her inability to deliver compelling content. Now, from poor writing to lackluster performances, the show definitely failed to deliver on multiple fronts, highlighting Kathleen Kennedy and her broader mismanagement of the Star Wars franchise. Now, in response to the whole Star Wars debacle and whole Star Wars backlash, Kathleen Kennedy and her team resorted to, extreme measures where they attempted to silence critics, including, the likes of Neurotic and Arcade Outposts, who spoke out against the Acolyte approved by Kathleen Kennedy. And this wasn't, a defensive maneuver. It was actually a desperate and misguided attempt by Kathleen Kennedy and others on the team, and even those online, to control the narrative. Now, they tried to deplatform those who voiced their dissatisfaction, thinking that, they could just shut down dissenting voices. They could somehow, turn the tide in their favor. But guess what? YouTube actually saw through this charade and found no violations of their terms of service. Now, this right here only highlighted the the ineffectiveness of Kathleen Kennedy and her approach and her inability to handle the criticism that comes from the many Star Wars fans. Now, the failure to censor the criticism also points to a broader issue with Kathleen Kennedy and her leadership, and her approach has been marked by a lack of accountability, as well as an unwillingness to confront the real problems within the Star Wars franchise itself. Now, instead of addressing the issues head on, Kathleen Kennedy and her team have chose to basically go ahead and just attack the messengers and stuff, and rather than fix the problems. Now, this particular approach is not only misguided, but also counterproductive. It only serves as to alienate fans and further exacerbate the franchise's decline in popularity. Okay, we're also going to talk about the broader implications of Kathleen Kennedy and her disastrous tenure. You see, Disney is finally beginning to face the consequences of Kathleen Kennedy, as well as her failed leadership. Now, recent reports are indicating that Star Wars will be reducing its TV output on Disney Plus. Now, this is a significant shift and frankly a necessary one given Kathleen Kennedy her track record. Now, for years, Disney Plus has been, inundated with poorly received content, and Kathleen Kennedy and her leadership have played a huge yet significant role in all of this mayhem. Okay. Now, the decision for Disney and Bob Iger to cut back on TV series from Star Wars is not just a reaction to the Acolyte, approved by Kathleen Kennedy's failure, but a recognition of a larger problem that Kathleen Kennedy and her staff have perpetuated. You see, Kathleen Kennedy and her vision for Star Wars have consistently failed to resonate with, audiences. And we've seen a steady stream of disappointing projects over the past several years, including with the Book of Boba Fett, also Mandalorian season 3, and even Ahsoka. You see, each of these shows, were expected to be a hit, but they all ended up falling short. You see, take Ahsoka for example. Both the Acolyte, approved under Kathleen Kennedy, came along. It held the title of the least viewed Star Wars finale. Okay, and this is a significant blow considering how the expectations were surrounding the show itself, and it's a testament to Kathleen Kennedy and her failure to deliver. You see, the Book of Boba Fett was also another letdown, failing to live up to its potential, and Kathleen Kennedy and her influence are evident in this failure. And then there's also Mandalorian season 3. I couldn't even finish the season myself, but that season also saw a substantial drop in viewership, and these failures are indicating a larger issue with Kathleen Kennedy and her leadership. And even Andor, which started off weak, only gained traction towards the end due to positive word of mouth. You see here, this demonstrates that even when a project has potential, it's not enough to overcome an initial poor reception. And Kathleen Kennedy, as well as her involvement, played a significant role in, this rocky start. Now, the same can be said for Kenobi, which also suffered from a lack of momentum, and Kathleen Kennedy and her approach have led to consistent pattern of failures, and it's clear that significant changes are needed if the franchise is to recover. Now, there's also, a new report suggesting that a reduction in Star Wars TV output from 2 series a year to 1 is a step in the right direction. See, this move also comes too late for many fans who have already been disillusioned by the franchise. Yet Kathleen Kennedy and her approach have, led to a saturation of low quality content, and it's clear that cutting back is necessary to avoid further alienating the audience. But at the same time, that's not the only solution. You see, we also got to consider the broader implications for Disney. The failure of the Acolyte, which was approved by Kathleen Kennedy, and other recent projects under Kathleen Kennedy reflects a larger trend in Hollywood where established franchises are, being mishandled by leaders who fail to understand that their core audience, what they want. And Kathleen Kennedy and her track record are a cautionary tale for other studios and leaders who might be tempted to prioritize ideology over quality. And it's not just about one show or one franchise. It's about a systemic issue in the industry. Now, looking ahead, Disney might consider returning to theaters for future Star Wars releases, and this could be a strategic move to recover some of the losses from their failed streaming projects. Now, if they're going to go ahead and continue investing substantial amounts into Star Wars, they need to explore all possible avenues for recouping those costs. Now, the show, The Acolyte, which was approved by Kathleen Kennedy, is just one example of Kathleen Kennedy and her string of failures, but it's certainly the most significant. Now, after 5 years of disappointing content, Lucasfilm and Disney need to acknowledge that the mistakes made under Kathleen Kennedy and her leadership and make the substantial changes as needed. So, what does this mean for the future of Star Wars? Will Disney and Kathleen Kennedy and her, team learn from these failures and make the necessary adjustments, or will they continue down the same path of mediocrity? Only time will tell, but it's clear that the significant changes are needed if Star Wars is to regain its former glory. Now, I want your thoughts on this. Are you frustrated with Kathleen Kennedy and her handling of Star Wars to this day? Do you think Disney will make the right moves and move forward? Do you think that Kathleen Kennedy should just go? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you may have this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead and smash the like button and share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.